Well, hey. Okay. So we've got a silver Zenyatta here.
Hello, team.
I'm gonna stay kind of quiet, but basically I'm just gonna go over this whole review, and as we go, I'll stop when I need to say something. I already watched the VOD review completely. I watched the VOD completely, and I've already got an idea of what we're gonna talk about during this whole thing. I've got the game ready in case I need to show you some things in game, but aside from that, well, yeah, that should be it. Before we go, actually, I'll just show you the career profiles, just so that you get an idea of what kind of player I am. Technically speaking, I'm working ball main on the ladder, but my most played character is Doomfist, and I've played a lot of Zenyatta. Actually, he's my um, third most played character. I've played a lot of support, a lot of tanks in general, and yeah, my peak so far has been 1 SR Undermaster. So let's start the VOD.
Hello.
Hello?
So if I remember correctly, you're gonna keep this this team comp for the rest of the match, or at least I don't remember exactly switching unless when we'll get on defense. Already there's kind of like the Hog and the Winston is not really the best when it comes to a team comp, just because, well, Winston wants to dive, Roadhog doesn't have any mobility, but the Widow and Genji's gonna go fine with the Winston, and you as Zenyatta is kind of gonna be really vulnerable, but that's not even really gonna be something we're gonna talk about for now, because you kind of already put yourself in a lot of danger by yourself without actually having to care about the team comp.
Can we maybe get like a Orisha?
Zenyatta, if it goes wrong, then I'll give you Genji. And you go Genji and I'll go Hugo.
Huh?
I'll give you Genji if I'm too bad, because you have
Yeah, that's just kind of a little chat, I guess. You don't really need to see this. There you go. That's where we're starting.
Don't heal me, Mercy. Heal the tanks.
Guys, don't dive in.
Okay, well, first of all, actually, now that I think about it, you did say you wanted to keep your Orb of Harmony onto the Winston, but actually, it would be better if you were to keep it on, for instance, the Genji. Harmony Orb isn't really gonna be good for tanks in general. You would let your Mercy heal your tanks, and you should be the one onto the Genji, because Genji's gonna be like going on around the place. He's probably not even gonna be with your team most of the time, so you don't want the Mercy to be healing this guy, right? You want your Mercy to stay with you, stay with your tanks. So if you want to put it on Winston by default, it's gonna be fine for now, but it's a better idea to start by putting it onto a squishy character. Harmony Orb in general will get more value if you put it on a squishy.
Too deep.
Now, for this part right here, actually, charging a right click is the right decision here. But a big thing here is that your crosshair is just kind of in a weird spot when it comes to charging your right click, because you gotta wonder where you're gonna be aiming that right click. My guess is that you were going for behind the bus, in case somebody's behind the bus. But usually what you're gonna be looking for in this kind of situation, I'll make myself just a bit faster here because it's more convenient for me to go across the map. But when you're charging a right click over here, on Numbani specifically, there's going to be a lot of people on this high ground right here. So it's a much better idea if you prepare your right click to launch it at people right here. Like, you might find people here, but it's very, very unlikely you'll find anybody here unless they're going for really, like, kind of feeding tactics. And if I remember correctly, actually, you catch a Roadhog right there.
Okay, they have Orisha.
Okay, so this is where you catch the Hog. Okay. Going on there is kind of like a weird place. I guess your Winston wasn't in chat all game, which is annoying. But a little thing I want to talk about right away, and this is going to be a recurring thing as we go through.
Guys, don't dive into.
You're already just too far forward. Even if we haven't done anything yet, you should still have people in your line of sight, like your teammates.
Too deep.
Because look at what's gonna happen here. You gotta walk in,
Okay, they have a Risha.
and here you are in front of the Roadhog, right? Now, granted, he does go for the Winston, but there's like basically he could have easily gone for you, right? If this Roadhog hooks you, you're dead and the push is over. Or at the very least, you're gonna force Rez out of your team, right? And that's not something you want to do from a mistake that should not have happened in the first place.
Roadhog. Roadhog discorded, Roadhog discorded, Roadhog discorded, Roadhog healing.
And now we're doing the same thing again. If you look closely over here,
Roadhog.
you walk in front of your tanks.
Roadhog discorded, Roadhog discorded, Roadhog discorded.
You're the only one in this room, right? And this is where your team's gonna go, which is, again, if this hog wanted to, he could have literally just stayed there and killed you.
Discorded, Roadhog healing.
They have Bastion and a
So, actually, no. This is,
Risa.
Okay. Okay.
No, they don't have Bastion.
Oh, need healing?
you're gonna need, yeah, you do need healing. That's true. But why do you need healing in this in this instance? It's because again you walked in front of your tanks, right? If you look back again, look at where your tanks are positioned when you decide to go forward.
They have Bastion and a Risa.
Okay. Okay.
No, they don't have Bastion.
Oh, need healing? I'm really low.
Now this doesn't sound like it's a big deal, but if you look at what happens right after you get shot,
They don't have Bastion.
Oh, need healing? I'm really low.
now your Winston probably would have died anyways, but the fact of the matter is you took the healing resources that your Mercy was going to provide to this Winston away because of the damage you took, right? Damage that you probably should not have taken in the first place. This is kind of like a small thing, but it's gonna keep being repeated all over throughout this VOD, so I want to talk about it right now. It's not just about like peeking. Of course, you don't die when you do those right now, but you can just realize how low you were at this point just from a single Roadhog shot. Imagine if anything else was shooting at you at that time, you would have died.
Risa.
Okay. Okay.
No, they don't have Bastion.
Oh, need
And especially because you're playing Zenyatta, another thing that I want to mention is we're gonna go over
They
here.
have Bastion and a Risa.
Okay.
When you're over here, basically your goal is to shoot down there, right? That's the point. But if you're playing Zenyatta and you're down and you're over there, one of the big things is, yes, you can shoot them here, right? But if you were to simply be here instead, you can shoot at the exact same spot, but you're much safer. Because Zenyatta doesn't have any fall of damage. That's one of the big reasons why Zenyatta is a backline character. He doesn't have fall of damage and his projectiles are pretty quick. So usually it's not going to be that big of a problem if you stay further back. But by being here, you kind of just don't really need to be there and you just put yourself at risk.
Okay.
No, they don't have Bastion.
Oh, need healing? I'm really low.
Another thing I don't know if we didn't press tab to see what they
Play
have,
just
I
say
think.
it then.
Let me just
Yeah.
make sure. Pressing tab to know what the enemy has is already
Don't
just...
heal me, Mercy.
It's just one of the things you
Heal the
gotta get
tank.
used to do. After 15 seconds, it's revealed to you all the time.
Guys, don't dive in too deep.
So you can see here. You can already guess, right? They have an Orisa, they have a Widow, and now you're gonna say they have a Roadhog.
Okay, they have a Risha.
Yeah, Orisa, what I was saying. Yeah. Orisa, Widow, and then Hog.
Block.
And now you can already press tab. You don't even have to press it for a long time. You just go like that. You see what they have? That's it. And then you would know what you're facing. Because what if they have, for instance, a Hanzo that's just shooting down there? You don't know that. You cannot tell because you haven't looked at it yet. You don't know they have a soldier yet. I do because I've looked at it. But you should be pressing tab after the 15 seconds all the time just to see what they have.
Roadhog discorded, Roadhog discorded, Roadhog discorded, Roadhog healing.
Also, just on the matter of communication, it's gonna come back a lot. I do like your communication. I like that you communicate a lot. A little thing here, If you want to repeat something really quickly, it's just much better if you use the shorter terms. Instead of saying Roadhog Discord, you can just say hog. It's much easier on the tongue. And it's gonna be like, because even I have problems with talking and so on. Like I do stutter a lot when I speak. And just like it's gonna just help you a lot overall just to say hog Discord.
Okay, they have Arisha. Roadhog. Roadhog discorded, Roadhog discorded, Roadhog discorded, Roadhog healing.
They have Bastion and Orisa.
Okay.
No, they don't have They don't have Bastion.
Oh, need healing? I'm really low.
And then we die. Now you do, I guess you already kind of figured out what I was going to say right here. If you were further back, you would not have gotten hook on that point. Now you might think, oh well, you're looking for the cover, right? You want to cover yourself here and then shoot like that. But you can do it the same way here. Doesn't really matter.
Regroup, go back. Mercy Road, okay, go back. A bit back to spawn. Okay, I'm at 60% of Transcendence.
Go back, guys. We just team up, group up.
We almost have Valkyrie, we can go in with that. Bonus.
Yeah, I don't know what happens here. I think your internet kind of glitched out a bit. I don't know what happened.
We almost have Valkyrie, we can go in with that.
Alright, I am kind of a bit annoyed that your reaction wasn't to immediately orb this when you saw it. I don't know if you did. Actually, I don't even
We almost have
tell.
Valkyrie,
Maybe
we
it's
can,
just like
go in with that.
lag or something that made you not look.
Bonus.
Yeah, I don't know if this is something that happens often, but if it does, you should find a way to fix it, honestly. I don't know what it is. It's probably like, do you have a lot of latency? I think you do have a lot of latency.
Valkyrie,
Yeah,
we can,
200
go in with
latency. That's a problem. Especially like you might just like make a lot of mistakes that would have been avoided with lower latency. And it's gonna be really problematic on your mechanics and so on. So I don't know if it's a one game thing. If it's a one game thing, just forget about it.
Bonus. Nice pick. Push up a bit, push up.
Now you see, for instance, here your Genji really needs healing, and he's kind of just here, and you're not healing him.
Nice pick. Push up a bit, push up.
And I don't think you're gonna try to heal him, right?
Run discord, he's charging in, get him. Nice.
So now your Mercy was forced to be the one to heal this guy, even though you had all the opportunity to heal him. It's a small thing, again, but this is the kind of thing you need to look for.
Nice pick. Push up a bit, push up. Run discord, he's charging in, get him.
Now this thing is a thing that I really want to address. Because it looks good, it's a really good thing you go for this Reinhardt, you call him, you get the pick. But there is a major problem here.
Nice pick.
And you do repeat this
Push up a
mistake
bit,
all
push
throughout
up.
the VOD, so again, we're gonna go over it.
Run discord, he's charging in, get him. Nice.
What's the mistake in this? Well, again, if we just go back.
Run discord, he's charging in, get him. Nice.
There's a soldier shooting right down this alley. And you just walk all the way across this way without even looking at him. Now, if you're here with Zenyatta and you walk just like that, and there's a soldier that's right here shooting, he's just gonna kill you. There's no way he's not gonna kill you. Unless, of course, you're in very low elos and they don't realize this, right? But Zenyatta, he's a chunky boy, right? You know, if you look at, like, his hitbox overall, he's a big chunky boy. He's easy to hit. And just you walking across this way to kill this Reinhardt, that's not a good thing. And that's something that, again, you're going to do all throughout the VOD. I'm just going to call it out once it happens. But the reason I want to mention this is because, especially when you see this Reinhardt die, if you look at where he goes and so
Nice
on.
pick. Nice pick. Push up a bit. Push up. Push up. Ryan discorded. Ryan discorded. Ryan discorded. Ryan discorded. He's charging. He's charging in. Get him.
You might have noticed that you didn't even need to move from this spot, right? You can just shoot him from here. At the very least, you can maybe just go up here or like just land a few shots and then back up, because that's gonna get you killed. Especially, I think they had a Widow. In any kind of higher rank, again, this is like just a free shot for the Widow, right? If she's right over here, even just peeking this way can get you instantly killed. It's really, really risky for you. So usually with Zenyatta, you could have just been here in the first place. But if you're going to go through this choke over here and try to shoot people, it's either got to be with a right click, that you get ready and you shoot all the way up there. Or you're going to have to wait for your tanks to come in first so that your tanks can take the damage first. And then you can walk forward and you can do your thing.
Nice. Soldier down.
Especially this Widow. I mean, you see, this Widow kind of did the same thing, right? She just kind of got in the open. And that just got her killed. For no reason. She should not have been there, right?
Nice. Soldier down. Okay, go point.
No one can hide from light.
Discord.
Again, I want to insist on this Genji should be getting healed, right? Right here, you should have gone for him. Yes, Winston, he does need healing, but Winston's in the back, and this Genji's right in front. He's gonna take damage soon. And the Mercy's probably just gonna heal your Winston anyways, right?
Point.
No one can hide from light.
Discorded. I have Transcendence.
We're gonna talk about your mechanics afterwards. We're gonna take that in note, and then we're gonna talk about that later.
Anna discorded. Lucio discorded. Soldier discorded.
Experience tranquility.
Now, if you want to talk about this Transcendence, this is a fine Transcendence. Honestly, I would have done the same. There isn't really like anything that your team has to protect themselves from this soldier. If you had, for instance, a Reinhardt that was where your Winston was, maybe then using Transcendence would have been a bad thing, but it's a Winston. He's not really going to protect from attack visor that much. So honestly, it's fine. However, a little thing that I want to mention is, I hope you noticed this RuGaard right here, right? He's a really big chunk of red right on your left side. I hope you noticed it.
Soldier discorded.
Experience tranquility. Destiny has drawn me to the
Nice.
objective.
Good job, guys. Good job.
So we get first point.
I am on fire.
Lucio discorded.
I want to mention, by the way, that Lucio isn't discorded. It's not a big thing, but you don't discord Lucio.
Good job, guys. Good job.
I am on fire.
Lucio discorded.
You got it, you got it.
I mean, it's not a big deal. It's probably just like a miss. Like you probably just missed either like your wheel or something. It's not really a big deal.
Nice.
Junker up top. Junker discorded. Junker at half. Nice.
Let me just get this on.
I need healing, Mercy.
Now here again, we're gonna talk again about this like little positioning thing. Technically speaking, right now you should not be where you are. This doesn't sound like a big deal, but it's gonna breed some bad habits if you keep like not thinking about that kind of thing. Especially when this Pharah comes in,
I need healing, Mercy.
standing right in the middle, right here. That's just like not a good idea. You can shoot at this Pharah, but shoot at her from this angle, for instance, where you already have the cover, right? Because if you start taking any kind of damage, then you back off, and then your Mercy doesn't need to heal you, right?
Mercy.
Need healing.
Thank you.
Farah got 2 hits on her.
Nice shit. Good job, guys. Roadhog in the back, Roadhog in the back. Roadhog discorded. Help me, Winston, help me, Winston. He's flanking left.
Another thing again, I do notice you do not have any respect for Roadhog whatsoever. As in, you don't seem to realize that Roadhog can't kill you. In a way. Like, yes, it's fine that you shoot him here because he's behind you and he's alone. But he has 100% the capability of one-shotting you right now, right?
He's flanking left side.
Especially since your Winston doesn't even care, apparently. He just kind of does his thing.
Left side, be careful.
And you do call out that the Roadhog is on left side, and I'm gonna come back to this in a moment.
Winston discorded, Winston low. Nice.
Experience tranquility.
Now, using Transcendence to save you is okay, but that's only if this death could have been avoided, right? Could not have been avoided, rather. Because you already told your team that Roadhog was on left side.
Good job, guys.
I think it's like right here.
Roadhog discorded. Help me, Winston. He's flanking left side. He's going to the left side. Be careful.
So you know Roadhog is on the left side, and you know that he's flanking there, and you've told your team, but you do not adjust your own position according to this knowledge that you have, right? You kind of just know it, but you ignore the fact that he's there, right? And so you kind of just go, and this Roadhog gets you, right? And although it's okay to save yourself with Transcendence, I don't even think your Mercy has used rest once. And this hog is just kind of there, right? So you reacted, like, well enough, but this Transcendence might not have been the best idea. Especially because the fight is already won at this point. Because they've lost their Winston, their hog is just kind of doing whatever. And honestly, this isn't even really a team fight, right? Their tanks have engaged, but their DPS aren't there. It's awkward.
Oh shit, I got Ana.
Winston, come back. Don't dive in too deep.
Actually, telling your Winston not to dive too deep is kind of weird again, because you're kind of winning this fight, right? So your Winston can dive. It's just, yes, of course, he's not going to go too deep if he doesn't want to die, but honestly, this Winston could have just a high ground. That would have been a much better idea. But hey, yeah.
Farther.
Lucia discorded low. Reaper discorded. Winston, come back, Winston.
Now you see, this is when you should be orbing your Winston, right? When nobody else needs healing and he's going in, this is when you should orb your Winston, but you decide not to this time for some reason. You keep it on your Roadhog, I think it is. Yeah, it stays on your Roadhog
Reaper discorded.
this whole time.
Winston, come back.
You don't even think about healing your Winston, do
Can
you?
you come back as well?
And I think I know why you didn't actually heal your Winston. Because you're too preoccupied talking, right?
Reaper discorded. Winston, come back.
Like you keep saying, oh, Reaper Discord, Winston, come back, but you're not actually thinking about what's happening in front of you. Now, I don't mean to say that communications are going to be a bad idea, but rather you should chill with the kind of communication you're going to put on people. Because having clogged communications and stuff isn't going to help either. You should focus on what is essential.
Ana discorded, but
Of course, Reaper being discorded is actually yes, something you should say. Prior to discorded, unless you're intending, unless you do believe that people are going to shoot this Pharah, there's kind of no point into saying she's escorted right now, right? Unless people are gonna assist you.
No one can hide.
Junkrat behind.
Now the Junkrat behind, that's something you should have called, but instead it's your Genji that called it, right?
Junkrat behind.
Junker behind, Discord as well.
Yeah, you called it after. Yeah, that's... Yeah, we don't talk about those. It's okay. It's not a big
Genji, you
deal.
have Dragon
Don't worry
Blade?
about it.
Yes.
Okay, regroup. and we're gonna
Although,
initiate
something
with-
I will talk about is... this right here. This little thing right here. Again, I'm pretty sure your orb can reach up there. And now this is probably because you're too focused on saving yourself from this tire, it's fine. But you should still recognize that even if you die, even if he dies, it's extra ult charge for you, right? And your transcend is going to be important. And because you don't need to aim your Harmony Orb, it's perfectly fine to flick it. And just flick, press your wheel up, and that's it, right? And then you die to Riptire, it's okay. Everybody dies to Riptire, it's fine.
Genji, do you have Dragon Blade?
Yes.
Okay.
Now you might look at the fact that you have silver healing and think to yourself that you do like do the healing that you're supposed to do, but you're the second character that's gonna heal, right? Aside from maybe Hog and Mercy. So having silver healing technically doesn't mean that you're healing as much as you should, especially because you've got so much coming from a Transcendence, right?
Regroup, and we're gonna initiate with Dragon Blade, and I'm gonna keep my orb on you, okay?
Yeah, that's fine. You trying to shot call and tell people which ult to use is fine. Usually it's the main tank that's going to do it, but obviously this main tank doesn't talk at all. If you want to do it, that's fine, but then it's a matter of, did you think on whether or not the enemy team had beat, for instance? If they have Lucio's beat drop, there's kind of no point into just initiating with Dragon Blade, right? If they do have it, you have to find another way to try to force it. Either by using Primal Ration focusing the Lucio, or doing anything, like, I don't know. But you're gonna have to keep that in mind.
I'm gonna screw up. Okay, wait. Okay, go on the point. Go on the point. Okay, Genji, Blade. Lucio's Discord.
Now you got really lucky on that, right? Because this Lucio had beat. And you just so happened to get him because he was in a weird spot, right? And another thing is, if you're gonna tell your Genji when to Blade and you're gonna try to micromanage your team, you might as well also tell your Mercy to damage boost him. Because when Genji ults, it's 120 damage per slash and 50 per dash, so 170 total. And if Mercy damage boosts Genji when he's ulting and doing a good old slash into his dash, that's gonna do over 200 damage. That's gonna one-shot most squishies, right? So that's something you gotta keep in mind with Genji, and if you have a Mercy, for instance. That's also why people use Nano Blade a lot. But Mercy damage boost is gonna be fine as well.
Genji, Blade. Lucio's Discord. Fire discorded.
Another.
Fire one. Nice.
Got her.
Now again, we kind of we already talked about positioning and stuff, but again, look at where your tanks are compared to where you are right now.
Okay, go on the point.
I'm pretty sure your tanks aren't even with you.
Okay,
Your
Genji,
tanks
Blade,
went up.
Blade.
Winston went up at least.
Lucio's Discord.
And while it's fine that we like talk about like pushing up and up, you as Zenyatta again,
Genji,
we're
Blade.
gonna ask the same question as we did last time. Well, I mean, not exactly question, but we're gonna make the same remark as last time. Whether you are shooting from here or you're shooting from here, you're just as effective, right? The only thing, again, you couldn't do is that you couldn't go down there. But I would argue with you that if you're Zenyatta, you shouldn't be chasing a hog in the stairs like that, like what you're about to do.
Blade.
So
Lucio's
by
Discord,
putting
Lucio's
yourself
Discord.
so far up here, it doesn't look like it, but look, there's an Ana here, there's a Hog here, there's a lot of people that can shoot you from up here. And now they're not gonna do it. And of course, this hog could literally just kill you, right? You don't seem to respect the fact that this hog is here, and this hog doesn't even seem to acknowledge the fact that he can kill you. But if you had any kind of good roadhog in front of you, you would die, right? You're really just walking into the effective range of this hog where you didn't need to. If you were playing Lucio, I would understand that you would get close to this hog, but you're playing Zenyatta.
Fire discorded, fire discorded.
Another.
Fire one. Nice.
Got her.
Need help?
Now, granted, you do kill this hog, and he was distracted by a Genji, so I guess that's fine. We're not gonna, like, complain about that for now. But now, you see this position that you're in? I like this position. With a Zenyatta here, I like you being here when you're pushing with your team. But just here, just shooting from up here, that's fine for me. I like this. If there's a flanker from up here, you do have a way to retreat, and you have a Mega, so if they start damaging you, you don't even need Mercy for healing. You can just heal yourself, back off a bit, and the payload's gonna be right here. Your tanks are gonna be close, and you've got a lot of back off. You can do a lot, and if you do want to go for the cheeky right click from the flank, well, there you go. You have it right here, and then you can go back. So I like this position here as Zenyatta and the situation you are right now. But
Junker discorded.
we're just gonna keep walking
Nice.
forward, aren't we? It seems like for a second you thought about doing the flank now, did you? For a
Nice.
slight second, right? But yeah, now you're kind of just staying. You're just kind of hugging the payload. I don't know if you should be doing that right now.
Justice, break off!
Yeah, that's just Pepe hands for this Pharah. That's just, yeah, it's just always happened to Pharahs.
Shit.
Run out discorded, run out discorded. Reaper's Death Blossom. Can I get healing?
I do notice you kind of just always jump. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but usually it's gonna just mess up your aim more than it's gonna help dodging, especially because when you jump, your movement becomes more predictable. Essentially, if I jump this way and I try to back off, my movements are just harder to. It's harder for me to go back. Whereas if I just decide to stay, my character is just gonna accelerate instantly, right? When you're in the air, you keep a bit of momentum, and so it makes it hard when you're just constantly jumping to get a grip on the ground and to actually do some good strafing. And it's just gonna mess up your own aim here, right? You need to like readjust every time if you want to keep it steady. And even I don't really do it really well. So it's much better if you strafe a bit. Sometimes you can crouch, and sometimes you can jump. That's fine. But aside from that, like always jumping, that's not gonna be a good idea.
Can I get healing? Mercy, can
So now here you die. Let's just look at what happens. Why do you die here? Because you might think, well, it's because the Reaper, right? You die because of the Reaper, but you don't die because of the Reaper. You die because the Reaper comes in and you're already at 50 health.
Shit.
run out discorded, run out discorded.
And why are you already at 50
Reaper's
health at
Death
this point?
Blossom.
Something shot you out this way, okay.
Can I get healing?
That's mostly the reason you died, right?
Mercy, can
But also, it's just kind of an awkward position for Zenyatta to be in. In general, you don't want to have to go all the way here, go back over here. You don't need to move all that much. You can stay around, take cover, shoot people. And especially, you don't stand in the open. Because here, this is the open, right? If you're standing here, you have cover. If there's a Reaper coming this way, you have cover this way. Of course, you're gonna have cover right into people, but that's the best you can do, right? Or you can just go into here. If there's a Reaper coming in, you can back off, and if you look, you have vision over everybody here. And once again, being further away with Zenyatta doesn't change your efficiency with a character. It might change your personal mechanical efficiency, but that's something that then you should practice, right? That's not something that a hero prevents you from doing.
you resurrect me? Oh, wait, you're dead. Okay, that's okay. Let's regroup.
Yeah, regroup, guys. Come back.
Okay, it's
I'm
good.
dead.
Wait and spawn,
dead.
okay? And spawn, wait and spawn.
I wouldn't necessarily like actually waiting in spawn for this. The reason is because of their comp. There's not much that can like shoot you from across the whole like map and just kill you, right? You have a Widow which can do that, and you have a Zenyatta that can do that. But their Lucio is not gonna one-shot you from across the map. The Pharah might like throw a single rocket at you, but there's no mercy with her. There's no... I have solo heal Lucio actually. They barely have any healing. And I mean, their Reaper's not gonna kill you from far away. Junkrat, I mean, his mines aren't gonna reach you. But if you are in your spawn, you don't need to wait in spawn, right? In fact, again, I would encourage you to just go out here, farm some right clicks, right? Like that. Just, you wait. As your team's coming back, you try to get a cheeky kill. Or if you don't get a cheeky kill, you just get some ult charge. And that should help you for your next fight, right? From up here, there's nothing in the enemy team that's going to kill you unless they push forward here. If they push forward here, then you back off, right?
In spawn, wait in spawn, okay? In spawn, wait in spawn. Okay, listen up. They have the Junkrat ult.
Now, repeating over and over the same thing, that's usually for messy comms, right? When there's a big like fight going on, everybody's calling out anything, then you could go, oh, hog Discord, hog, kill hog. But just repeating wait and spawn over and over again, that's kind of just annoying at this point, right?
Roadhog ult and the Reaper ult, I think, maybe, because it was
Guys,
pretty aggressive.
wait.
What is this way to do it?
So, okay, what we're gonna do is, Genji, you almost have Dragon Blade, right? So you're gonna Dragon Blade, and then they're gonna do like, they're gonna try to shut you down, and then we Transcendence. So stay together.
Yeah, that's... I get the feeling of what you want to do. You want to use Blade and Trance, but it's kind of an awkward thing of like, yes, they're gonna shut him down, whether you have Transcendence or not.
Reaper's discorded.
What you should be thinking about is whether or not they have beat at this point.
Dragon Blade.
Go in here, here. Come here, guys, come here. Follow me.
Yeah.
And I'll just want to mention something. Like, you can go high ground if you want, but in like even in my diamond games, people like even if you ask like everybody in the team to go high ground, only half of them are always going to go high ground. The others are just going to go low ground and feed. It's just the nature of this map. I don't know why. Nobody wants to go high ground on this map. So you're just going to get used to that.
Okay, we can try to win this if we get a big pick. Junkrat's in there.
Did you notice the trap? Here. Look back again, you're going to see it.
Okay, we can try to win this if we get a big pick. Junkrat's in there.
My systems.
Nice. Okay.
I do admit I don't know if I saw it the first time I watched the review, but I know I definitely saw it this time.
Okay, we can try and go in. Okay, your orb. Okay, go.
And your Widow's really, really lucky to not have died there. And here we have another big problem that I'll see with Transcendence.
Dragon Blade.
Now I'm gonna ask you a question, and I guess you're probably gonna know the answer right away, but I'm still gonna push it as an answer, as a question. Why do you jump off the high ground?
Dragon Blade.
Like you literally just jump off the high ground, right? It's like it was like intentional, right? But why?
Dragon Blade.
Think about the position you are in right now. With this position here, you're perfectly like you're much safer away from the Reaper, away from the Hog, away from the Reinhardt, and you can just rain death upon them, right? But you just genuinely jump down. And this prompts you to use Transcendence because suddenly you're surrounded by enemies and you have to, right? But if you had stayed on high ground, it would have been just fine, right? I mean, I guess the idea was to expect that they would all jump on this Genji. But it's clear that they didn't, right? In fact, it's clear that your Genji messed up his entire Dragon Blade. And having your Mercy damage boosting would have probably helped him at least get a kill there.
Dragon Blade.
I don't even... Where did he go for? What did he go for? Like, the entire team is this way. Why did he go there? I don't know. What happens, definitely, like, you both wasted 2 ults.
They used way too much for this last fight.
Yeah, they use way too much, but you've used everything you had, right? Except for Widowmaker Heroes, but it's not like Widowmaker Heroes gonna make you win the fight. And now you're gonna have Valkyrie, you're gonna have Primal Rage, but is that really gonna help you? Like, they haven't even used Beat Drop for your Zenyatta, right? For your Dragon Blade, I mean. So maybe they're gonna have it for next fight. They haven't used Barrage, they haven't used Riptire, and they haven't used Earthshatter. So you don't know which one of them you have. I'm pretty sure they only use Hog. Oh wait, did they use Whole Hog? Yeah, I think they use Whole Hog, and they use that Blossom. It's only 2 ults for 2 ults, including your best ult and your game-winning ult.
Heroes never die.
So I'm not sure.
Regroup.
I'm not sure about them wasting ults.
Is not preordained.
Guys,
Group up with me.
we almost have Primal Rage and almost have RuGaard, so we can go with that.
Pharah half HP.
Yeah, these guys are gonna die
Yeah,
no matter what they
doesn't
try.
matter anymore. Okay, let's go back.
This poor Mercy's
Winston,
gonna
wait.
die.
Winston, wait. Winston, wait.
Wait,
Winston,
what
wait.
is?
Yes.
Okay,
come
yeah,
back.
Mercy's gonna get staggered. That's just an unlucky. You can't really go over that. You can't really help it. Now this is the time to try to farm your Transcendence,
Oh,
because
Winston,
you
don't
might,
dive in as
if you
well.
keep farming the tanks, you might have a chance to get a Transcendence before this
Check here,
fight
Winston.
ends, right? Now
Hook,
your
hook, hook.
your Reaper fell for the same Junkrat trap as last time, by the way.
Check here,
You
Winston.
can see that he is raid form. I just thought it was funny.
RuGaard, no hook, RuGaard, no hook. Go in, be
Genji,
aggressive.
Junkrat
So now you're equal. They don't have their Junkrat, which is huge.
They have Shatter. They have Shatter.
They do have Shatter. They do have Shatter, and you're right in range of it, aren't you?
They have Shatter.
You've
They have
acknowledged
Shatter.
that they have Shatter. Are you gonna back off?
Justice reigns from above.
You're only backing off once the Pharah starts shooting at you with your ult, right?
Alright, let's go to it. I almost have Transcendence. I don't think we're gonna make it.
Again, I mean, it's not that big of a problem this time, but just if you had shot the right heart from up here, it would have been much harder for this Pharah to get you, because then you can back up over here.
I'm gonna go Hammond to stall.
Speaking of going Hammond to stall, if you're gonna go on a specific character to stall and you're all playing support, just go Lucio. Your Winston or your Hog should be the one going. Actually, you did actually get Transcendence before the end of the fight. But maybe you would have had it earlier if you had gone for some
Maybe
cheeky
you
right
wanna get
clicks.
some gunplay? No, okay.
Well played.
So now we go away and we look at the Bastion Orisa we have and Torbjorn. Now I actually want to talk about this position at the beginning that we go for.
Okay, guys, let's group up at the high ground.
With me.
Follow me. Follow me in Torb. Here.
Yeah, yeah, we found it.
We have a Bastion. Can you try and come up here?
Get up.
We can still go
Again,
here
not a
if we go
big,
here.
not a big thing. I know the game hasn't started yet, but orbing the Bastion right away should be your priority.
It's okay. Okay, that's okay. I'll follow you guys.
Instead, you're gonna go for your Orisa. And this is something I also like. Again, I wanted to talk about this.
Okay, that's okay. I'll
Them being, if you're like right here, and they're over there, that's honestly perfectly fine for you. If you want your team, if their Bastion Orisa wants to be there, you can stay where you are right now. And
Experience
the reason for it
tranquility.
is if the enemy just so happen to run dive, they cannot dive your entire team at once, right? If you are standing right here and your Orisa and Bastion are right here, if they have a Winston like they had last round, he has a choice of either going on to you and essentially getting shredded by the Bastion, or going for the Bastion and leaving you free to spam. And it's not like, again, it's not like you're gonna be less effective if you are not with the team, because again, your healing is gonna reach them and your damage is gonna reach them as well. And especially if you're here, you have way more cover and way more ways of getting away than in this position. In this position, it's a bit more awkward because you're more likely to get flanked from this side, And if they have like something like a Pharah, like this Pharah, the Pharah can probably shoot you from up there, which is annoying, true. But from up here anyways, she can also like boop you off. There's a bunch of things that can happen. And if you want to retreat this way, you're putting yourself in a lot of danger, right? You're putting yourself in danger of people coming from down there. And especially, sorry, if you're up here, you do actually see people coming down there before your team does. So it's more scouting for them. So, and also you can come all the way over here if you need to. There's a lot more leeway that you can get to if you're positioned here as Zenyatta, whether your team is positioned there or not. This is kind of the strength of most bunker supports and most bunker characters in general, is they can do things while staying in a specific position. Like Baptiste could also heal them from up here. Ana could heal them from up here, right? Lucio cannot do that, Mercy can't do that, and Moira can't do that. But the Zen, Ana, and Baptiste, that's what they can do. You give all of your utility from far away, and that way you're not all like grouped up for characters like Winston to die. Now they're not gonna have a Winston, if I remember correctly. They have a Reinhardt, which is better for you. It's way better for you. But going with them, that's not necessary. Especially because your Roadhog is with you, right? Your Roadhog is staying on this side. He doesn't care, right? Your Roadhog didn't seem to care at all, like the whole game anyways. So, like, he's just gonna stay there. And if you go ahead and look up again on this side, which you are gonna do, your Roadhog is right there. He doesn't care. In fact, Roadhog should be with them, and you should be there. Because Roadhog, his hook and so on, that's gonna get them right into them, right? And he's gonna work with the Orisa halt. Whereas you don't need to be next to the Orisa.
Reinhardt discorded. Who's on point? Who's on point?
Now you see, again, if you were on the other side, you would know who were on point, right? You would have known right away. And you would have been able to shoot this Reinhardt from that far, too.
Lucio discorded on point. Never Brig on point. Never Brig as well, Brig.
And now I already knew what was gonna happen when I saw that you saw this Brig. I knew you were gonna jump off the high ground because that's what you've been doing since the beginning.
Brig.
And that's what you do, right? You don't have to. We've already been through this, right? But you don't have to. Fuck. You do not have to jump up the high ground here to kill this Brig. You can just keep shooting her from up here. Especially a Brig, right? Think about what you're doing with Zenyatta when you're getting this close to a Brigitte. Brigitte has a shield, she has a stun, she has self-healing, and she has a melee weapon. She's gonna fuck you up, right? So that's kinda just another big thing. You really do tend to get really close to people when you fight them. And I think I know why. You may correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I feel like the reason you have to get close to people is because you aim better at people when they're closer to you. You feel like your mechanics are gonna land more shots if you're closer to someone, maybe because your bot training makes you you kind of just hold W when you bot train, and you can't really get punished if you bot train, or if you go in deathmatch and so on, you can do the same. But you probably feel like you're gonna aim better if you're closer, which is true. But you're also going to put yourself way more at risk, and it's a risk that you do not need to take. So I do highly recommend that you start thinking about your position. Try to stay further away from people when you fight them. That's really a big thing.
Discorded.
Because you literally get on melee range to a Brigitte, right? Granted, your team is with you, but there's no point for you to be there. And now...
Never a Pharah.
Now you're, of course, this Pharah's coming in. This Pharah could have shot you from behind as well. But now what's happening is that you're on low ground, you're on open ground against the Pharah, and if you want to go back up, you're gonna have to go all the way through the stairs, right?
Pharah discorded. I'm chasing Pharah. Oh wait, she's down. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Lucia?
How do you get to the other high ground?
Yeah, go to the other one.
Yeah, that also confused me. This these guys actually don't know how to get to the other high ground. It's kind of funny, honestly. This guy actually, because I think you heard this guy saying, "Let's go to the other high ground," but he said, "How do you get to the other high ground?"
Oh wait, she's down. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Lucia.
How do you get to the other high ground?
Yeah, go to the other one.
Yeah, he actually asked, "How do you get to the other high ground?" That's actually hilarious. This man should just not knowing how to get there. It's really funny. Oh well, it happens, right? I guess this is what
There's
silver
a
is.
stairway here. Staircase.
So yeah, your team is kind of gonna be all split up and nobody's in position as the enemy team are pushing. And there's a roadhog here. Let's guess what you're gonna do.
Now to
Yeah. So this one is the move that really made me go, no, 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 no. Right? When this happened.
It's there's a stairway here. Staircase.
Because now think about this. The only person that's with you is Mercy. And there's a roadhog here that has not used a single cooldown.
now to strike.
Roadhog flanking, in your back.
And so you shoot the roadhog in the back and you follow him all the way through. If this roadhog had your awareness, because I do notice that you have good awareness, which is really good. But if this roadhog had your awareness, if you were playing a roadhog in this situation, that if you were playing roadhog and you were walking through here and you felt a Zenyatta shooting you in the back, would you not have just turned around and killed him instantly because he's literally in front of you in your roadhog? Now look back at this.
Now to strike.
Roadhog flanking, in your back.
Do you understand the problem? Of course, now this roadhog is gonna die, right? Because this roadhog has the awareness of this bastion, right? So he literally just did not notice you
Roadhog
shooting.
flanking, in your back.
Or he noticed and he decided to heal instead of killing you, which is really weird of a decision. And now he's gonna die. But notice something. Your Mercy has to stay with you, right? Because
Roadhog flanking.
you decided to jump on this roadhog when this Mercy was with you, so now she was forced to stay here.
To strike.
She's staying with you. She
Roadhog
notices
flanking,
you're in
roadhog flanking,
trouble,
in
so
your
she's
back, in your
forced to stay. And because of that,
Nice.
she gets caught by the Junkrat and dies. Now, would this Mercy have stayed there whether you would have followed your team or not followed this roadhog? Who knows, right? It's silver, who knows? But you gotta think about that for a moment.
Good Mercy.
Okay,
Help me.
so backing away, yeah, that's
I'm
the good
stuck, I'm
point.
stuck.
And
Behind you,
finally,
behind you.
this Bastion City.
Bastion behind you.
Yeah, your Bastion has the same amount of awareness as this roadhog. But
Okay. If Mercy can rest,
and now I don't think falling off the high ground was intentional this time.
okay. If Mercy can rest,
I think it was intentional. But once again, you jump off the high ground. There's no point in jumping off the high
Mercy
ground.
died.
oh, she's dead.
Rick discorded. Focus Brigitte. She's dead.
I have ult.
Nice.
I have ult.
Lucius discorded.
Okay, while we're at it, we might as well talk about the mechanics right now. Let's go into big slow motion and see what happens. No, that's not slow motion. Sorry about the audio, but that's just
Mercy
what.
can rest,
Mercy died.
oh, she's dead.
Rick
Your
discorded.
aim
Rick
is a bit
discorded.
jiggly, right? It kind of goes
Focus
everywhere.
Focus Brigitte. She's dead.
I have ult.
Nice.
Oh.
Lucius discorded.
I'm not sure whether or not you're holding your left click or if you're tapping it, because usually tapping each orb is a much better idea than holding it. The only time you would hold it is when you're fighting a barrier or a tank. But usually, if you're fighting against a loser or something, you want to aim first and then you want to try to shoot, right? And of course, you have a projectile, so you gotta try
She's
to aim
I have
where he's
both.
gonna be.
Nice, nice.
Especially with
Lucius,
this Lucio
Discord,
walking, like wall riding all over the place, he's gonna be much easier to shoot because he's going in mostly straight lines.
Lucius, Discord.
Also, you kinda give up on this Lucio. I don't know if it's because you can shoot him, but if you give up on the Lucio because you can't shoot him, the best solution would not be to then try to shoot a Pharah, right? I'm just saying. Granted, you do shoot her once, right? And then you get killed. Why do you get killed in this situation? Because instead of being up here, where the Roadhog could not have hooked you, you went down there where the hog could hook you, right? If you had stayed over here, this hog could not have hooked you. Hell, with the awareness that this hog had, he probably would not have even known that you were there. Honestly, let's be honest.
Nice, nice. Lucius, Discord, Lucius, Discord. Fire Discord 1. I died. I have Transcendence. Maybe Mercy can resurrect me if she's back on point. Do you see me?
Especially because not only like you ask your Mercy if she can res you, but you've died in like the worst spot possible. Because the enemy team's coming this way and you're like you died right here. This Mercy, like, she doesn't want to go there, right? This Mercy has a good idea, she's staying hidden right there.
Transcendence. Maybe Mercy can resurrect me if she's back on point. Do you see me? I have Trans. Keep him off point as possible.
Peace be upon you.
Junkrat at the top.
Go point, go point, go point. Reaper in the back, Reaper in the back. Reaper's
Yeah, dying to this Reaper, that's honestly like, I doubt that you would have noticed it. Maybe even I would not have noticed. But seeing this hog, your hog basically chasing stuff, and then you can see that this Reaper shot the wall.
Junkrat at the top.
Go point, go point, go point. Reaper in the back, Reaper in the back.
You could have
Reaper's in the back,
noticed it,
Reaper's gonna
but
flank
I
on you,
would not like
Roadhog.
flame you for not noticing it, honestly.
Reset, we
It's
lost this.
just kind of a bad, it's just an unlucky at this point.
Yeah, okay, they used. Okay, that's
Barrett's
good.
a
Solar
soul.
barrage.
That's good. Yeah, okay, they used Pharrell, so that's good because I don't think bunker's working. Can you switch maybe?
I mean, asking for switch is honestly not really that good of an idea here because you did hold them for 2 minutes, right? It's not that
That's
bad.
good. Yeah, okay, they used Pharrell, so.
And also
that's
they
good
had to use
because,
a bunch of bolts.
I don't think bunker's.
And you gotta think at this point whether or not you lost this because you were playing bunker or because you weren't playing properly, right?
Working.
Because if
Can
you,
you
had
switch,
not
maybe?
died as Zenyatta, maybe this fight would have been okay, right?
Okay.
Especially another big thing is, I mean, just kidding. If the wait, I think the game. Let me just get into a game real quick. I guess recreate. But yeah, if you had been onto the high ground in the first place, again, maybe you would not have died to this hog. And not only that, but if you had not died to this hog, then Mercy could have been with you on this high ground, right? She could have just Guardian Angel up there. If you were over here, then this your Mercy could have just either flew up to you and be safe. There could have been different things. If your Bastion had died up there, she could have rezzed. A lot of things could have happened if you had stayed on high ground. So maybe bunker might not be the big problem here, right?
Okay. We can grip up here. Be careful for our flanks. Briggs like one. Rodok's discorded.
Heroes never die.
Fire discorded. Focus fire.
You tend on shooting Pharahs a lot. It's okay, but you're gonna get much more value. It's unlikely that you're gonna shoot a Pharah in this guy.
Fire's half.
Your Discord is way more of a threat to Pharah than your actual shots, usually. Especially when you have a hit scan. I mean, you had the Bastion before, but I think your Bastion is like dead and switched off and is like further away. Now about this Transcendence, actually. I want to talk about this.
First half, first half.
My guess is what prompts you to use Transcendence is either Roadhog using his ult or the Pharah shooting you, right?
Don't die now.
I'm not too sure which one it was, but again with Zenyatta, this position here, shooting at a Pharah from up here, you have to realize how much in the open you are compared to everything else, right? For a Pharah looking at you like that, you're all the way in the open. So if, for instance, you were just right here, it's much harder for this Pharah to shoot you. Especially if you're over here and she's like over there. It's gonna be really hard for this Pharah to hit you, and you can keep shooting. So maybe you would not have needed to use Transcendence if you had just been slightly further back.
Lucia in the back. Lucia discorded, Lucia discorded. Lucia down.
Very nice.
Okay. Where's Brig? Where's Brig? Oh, nice.
And now you're going to go right in front of this hog again.
Rodok's discorded, Rodok's healing, Rodok healing, discorded. Focus. Nice, nice.
I mean, at this point, like, he's surrounded, I don't think that would have been a problem. But even in higher ranks, even when you're completely surrounded, a hog can still kill you, right? And that's going to be, like, either forcing res or it's going to stagger you, right?
Lucio discorded down.
And this Lucio somehow died twice. Wait, what's the last time he died? How did you kill him twice? I guess he died, like, a while ago.
Lucio in the back. Lucio discorded, Lucio
So
discorded.
he
Lucio
died?
down.
Does he just
Okay.
respawn and die
Where's Brig?
instantly?
Where's Brig? Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think
Rodok's
he
discorded, Rodok's
respawned
healing,
and just
Rodok healing,
went straight
discorded.
in your face and died. That's unfortunate, just Lucio.
Focus. Nice, nice. Lucio discorded down.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Now, speaking of your position once again, you're in front of your tank once again. You don't need to be there, even if you want to go for cheeky
I have almost
little right clicks like that. And speaking of going for cheeky right clicks, right? You're stationary right now. You should not be hitting this roll.
I have almost Dragon Blade.
I think what made you hit the wall is the
Okay, don't
payload
open
backing
their
off
spawn,
actually.
don't open
So
their
I'm not
spawn.
gonna actually I'm gonna like take it back.
If we ult in their spawn, they're just gonna respawn.
Yeah, if you ult in their spawn, they're gonna respawn, yes, but they might just have to use ult to get out of spawn. And if the enemy team has to use ults to get out of spawn, that's a good thing for you, right? Because if they do actually use ults and kill you in front of their spawn, that means that they're gonna have to, like, they're just out of their spawn. Imagine the amount of time it's gonna take for them to get the payload all the way across. You're gonna get another fight anyways, and their fight's not gonna have any actual ults at this point, right?
Rally, they have rally. They're flanking, they're flanking.
Now that's I just noticed Reaper. Okay, another thing here is, you know they're flanking, but you're not gonna readjust your position according to this information that you've just conveyed to your team.
Reaper's hair.
I don't know why this Reaper decided to raid form away from you. Once again, you're playing against people that seems to be scared of you for no reason. You're a Zenyatta, yes, you're dangerous to some extent, but they're all more dangerous than you are.
Well, Reaper's hair as well. They're all here.
And now once again you're peeking, right? You keep peeking more and more, and this hog should have hooked you and killed you at this point.
They're all here, they're all here.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do against that.
Come back.
We had no.
And here, you kind of see the problem here, right? This Roadhog should have 100% killed you. There's no reason for this hog not to kill you.
We had no.
Literally one more shot and you're dead. There's no reason for this hog not
come
to do that.
Or
And
die,
you, when
just-
you say
just
come back
jump
and
off
you
the cliff or
say
something,
that,
I don't know.
like, at this point you shouldn't even be
Or
going
die,
back like
just,
that.
Just jump off
Right.
the cliff or something. I don't
Shouldn't
know.
even be trying that. Just back off. Because they have speed boost, they're gonna
Shit.
catch up to you if they want to. They don't
That's
seem to
okay.
want to because everybody's on payload. Again, you're shooting a lot of
I'm
Pharahs, right?
pressing the far, so at least she's chasing me though.
Pharah has way
She's
more
discorded.
chances of hitting you than you will have of hitting.
Rodok,
And again, you should have died here. You should have been. You should already be dead. This hog should have hooked you and killed you.
she's chasing me though. She's discorded.
Here, you're dead, and you've staggered your entire team again because you're not with them because you didn't back off. Because you wanted to shoot at a Pharah. You gotta watch out for those things.
Rodok saw me in a hook. I'm close to Transcendence.
Reaper behind.
Where?
I'm actually kind of surprised that you didn't notice the Reaper just going behind you, or
I'm
you
close
didn't
to
call it, right?
Transcendence.
Because you seem to have been
Reaper
calling
behind,
it out a
Reaper
lot,
behind.
right?
Where?
Now you kind of seem surprised to see a Reaper behind you.
Oh no, he just went behind us.
Yeah, he's next to you, Bashy. He's gonna kill you. He's gonna kill you. He's gonna ult, sorry, I mean. He's upstairs.
Now again, you're completely in the middle of everyone here. If you want a better position for Zenyatta at this point, in this little position here, when the enemy team's coming here, with Zenyatta you can go all the way over here. This way the Reaper cannot reach you really with anything he's trying to do. The Hog cannot reach you, nothing can really reach you, and you have cover. Again, a much better position for Zenyatta in this situation.
I have Transcendence. Nice. Reaper's gonna ult. I'm gonna save Transcendence for Reaper ult. They might ult now because he has sound barrier.
I have no chance because of that fucking Reaper.
Yes, you have no chance against this Reaper because you're standing in the open with Bastion. That's just how it is, dude.
Yeah, maybe you should switch actually. Junkrat's discorded, but I can't see him behind the payload. Lucius discorded. He got armor packed. I have Transcendence.
I'm not gonna keep talking about the position. I'm pretty sure you already got the memo by now.
Nice.
I just hope that if I don't keep talking about the position, you get the problem that's happening right now.
Nice. Lucius discorded.
Heroes never die.
Nice.
I'm dead.
Justice reigns from above.
Experience tranquility.
Enemy seen in area.
Focus to point. Nice. They're rallied. Flash discord one there, discord low. Lucio discord.
Died.
I'm stunned. I'm gonna go Hammond for stalling.
Again, you should know why you got stunned there, right?
GG.
So what do we have to look at here, right? Honestly, in terms of mechanics, you're fine. You're actually much better than I thought you would be. Compared to like what I would expect from people in silver. There is definitely like your communication again, that's really good. It's a bit too much sometimes. You gotta think about most of the time in Overwatch when you want to talk about like if you want to have good comms, one of the best thing is just to think about what is necessary to say, or at the very least what is really gonna be useful for your team. Discording a Pharah when you don't have a hit scan is kind of like, you can do it, but there's no point into really calling it out. And especially if people, for instance, are already shooting at the Roadhog and you try to discord him, there's kind of no point into saying that he's discorded because people are already shooting at him. Small things like that, you know. Micromanaging your team all the time, telling them like where to go, when to do what, that's again like, you can do that if you want, because if somebody doesn't want to do that, somebody's gonna like, you know, be a leader to someone, to the team. But it's not necessarily going to, let's just say, eventually it's gonna get annoying for a lot of people, right? If you want to micromanage what your team's gonna do, I'd suggest the best thing you should do is just say, we should use that ult this fight, right? We do not use this ult this fight. They probably have this ult this fight. This is the kind of thing that you can micromanage your team with. Or, for instance, if you really don't want a Bastion on your team, and they have a Pharah, for instance, you could ask, can we have a soldier for this Pharah? Can we have a Widowmaker? Can we have a McCree? It's a better way to say it than just, Bastion, you should switch. Because if somebody were to just tell you, yo, Zen, can you switch to Lucio? You're not doing much. Like, or Zenyatta's not working, can you switch to Lucio? It gives you a certain feeling in your mind, right? And it's not a good feeling. And you gotta think about that when you talk to people. Because after all, you're playing a game with other people, right? So your communication, you're gonna have to... I'm glad that you're doing it. I'm glad that it's the way that that you're really trying for it. But overall, you can just kind of relax with that, right? But really, the biggest problem that I've seen for you, by far, it's your positioning. Think about Zenyatta as a backline character. You have to be in your backline most of the time. And you gotta think about, again, you don't need to be on point to have pressure on the point, right? From up here, you can pressure the point from up here. You can heal people from up here. You can do what you want, right? You can basically do everything with Zenyatta. And you gotta think about that because you're not mobile and you're a big target. So, yeah. That should be it. I hope this VOD review was actually useful for you. And yeah, I'll see you later.